Welcome back. This is episode 3. Da chance dando to revelle. Welcome back. This is episode 3 of the game of Pokemon. We have covered the basic parts of what's the basic steps of the game and opening and everything. Then the importance of sleeving and shuffling correctly. Now let's get a little bit more advanced. Meaning, how do you really build a deck and how do you make it functional? One of the famous words you will hear from players is a brick hand, meaning a hand that you cannot progress further with, meaning that you are sitting duck, meaning that the other player will take advantage that you are slowing down or not being able to move forward towards developing attacks, a board, or any other function you need to actually win the game. Therefore, in this video, we'll cover the importance of searchers and what do they mean in the game, to get what you need at the time you need it, regardless if it's a source for an energy, a Pokemon, an evolution line, an item, or a tool. It's all important to the fluency of your game. Now, let's get into it. These are the most commonly used trainer cards that lead to what you need to be found. Starting with the most classic and most highly used. There's no game apparently at this point without Arven. There's very few decks that do not need an Arven. The reason being is what we're gonna cover in another video, sequencing. What does Arven do himself? He brings an item and a tool. A tool probably being useful for recurring more steps, and the item can be used also in the same round because he's not a supporter, but he can only be used once. So he gets you the item you need at the time you need it. Leading to an energy search with Earthen Vessel. Also a very highly used card. Unfortunately, it's on the G cycle, meaning April 2026. Even it's not gonna get reprinted by that point, it's gonna be out of the game. But for the time being, it's one of the most important cards for the game as it finds you 2 energies by discarding 1 card. And anybody having a demand for energies to therefore formulate their attack and cannot find them on their hand, that's how you fetch them from the deck. Artazon for basic non-EX Pokemon. If you want to build a powerful bench and you need at will your Pokemon on bench, so therefore the next round maybe you can evolve them or anything that you need with them, this is where you start. The drawback with this one is that also the enemy can use the stadium. Stadiums are commonly shared as we covered on the previous video. Another one of the most popular ones is Buddy Puffin. A lot of the basic evolution lines for Pokemon, starting let's say with a Charmander or a Pidgeot or anything like that, they all start from roughly 70 HP, aside from the new mega beefed up versions of the basics. So therefore, anything 70 and under HP, you can get 2 of them on your bench with 1 card. Buddy Puffin is extremely important then. Ionon. Ionon doubles up as one way of shuffling your hand and getting cards, but also occasionally can become a winning condition because of the reason that you draw back the cards that are equal to your prizes. So your enemy can be on 1 prize close to winning with a full hand. Once you throw the Ionon, they only get 1 card back. So not just a searcher, an important card, it can become a winning condition occasionally. Another highly used card is an Ultron Ball. For the reason being, it can get stage 1s and stage 2s and anything you cannot fetch with the other mechanism. So if you're searching for an evolution, that's where you probably gonna get it from. The drawback is that you have to discard. Not such a drawback, especially if you need discarded cards if your deck is played that way. Nest Ball. Again, one of the most important cards because it brings directly to the bench a basic with no limitations. It can be an EX, it can be a Mega, it can be whatever it wants to be. Now, this is a tangent duo. First, Professor Research. Useful for discarding if you need to discard and you need your energies or anything in the discard pile. And also, you draw 7 cards. At any stage of the game, with a 60 card deck where you draw 7 and also you play 6 as prizes, drawing 7 increases the odds to find what you need. Also doubles up as discarding. Now, if you discard by accident something just for the sacrifice of getting more cards to therefore progress, this is the tangent. Super Rod can take from your discard an energy aura Pokemon and a mix of up to 3 as I remember, yes, back to your deck. So in case you're running out of cards or you have thrown something out you didn't want to throw, you can get it back in the deck. Now, one of my favorites, personal favorites, since the game has shifted in multi-elemental energy needs, meaning that you might need a fire, a water, or a grass in the same Pokemon to utilize their attack. Crispin searches the deck and gets 2 different energies, that is the condition. One attaches directly on the Pokemon and one goes on your hand, meaning that it's almost attaching 2 energies in one round, where you're allowed only one. Through this supporter, you get the 2, which means that you can lead on to any strategy thereafter. One of the forgotten ones I will have to say, because there's some of the cards that are competing with this these days, is Jack. Jack can get 2 evolution lines, and it has become more important with the Forest Stadium from the Mega Evolutions. As you can place the Pokemon and evolve it if you have the evolutions in your hand, same round going from a basic to a stage 1 or from a stage 1 to a stage 2, Jack can get you stage 1 and stage 2. If you have the basic from an Espol, as we saw, you can sequence them together and get a Mega Dinosaur out or a Hydropple. Going to the last 2. One is a bonus. Cyrano, introducing Searching Sparks, brings 3 basic EX. To be honest, that's quite broken, because it means that you can bring a Pheasant DBT, a Squawkambilly, an evolution Pokemon you might need for the next round, all in one go. And that's a powerful search. This is what I call one of the most powerful searches. Now to my favorite and a bonus. Pidgeot DX. Evolving this bad boy means that once every round of yours, you can search the deck for any card you need. No limitations on HPs, no limitations or if it's a supporter or an item, none of that. Once you get to evolve him, you can literally search your whole deck. You have access to anything. You can pick up your deck in your hand and go. Now, as we have discussed, these are the methods, and there are plenty more for each toolkit and specified deck. Team Rocket, for example, have their own little box. Terras have their own little box. Obviously, you'll choose this plugin of tools according to the deck you choose. Now, the biggest and most important part is the ratio. Meaning you cannot have all supporters and trainers because they do all these gimmicks and you can run around doing stuff, and you cannot have all Pokemon either or all energies either in a deck. You need a coherent balance where these cards communicate with each other, where I suggest somewhere on the ratio of engines as drawings, energies, or any box of that sort. I will stick around to 12, now depending on copies. Energies sticking around between anywhere on the lean side of the 9 cards all the way to 12, even 14 if it's a heavy deck that needs the energies as engine. Now in terms of Pokemon, again I'll be around the 10-12 area, where you divide your functions in such a way that you lead into these 60 cards that you can clearly see by laying them down that they communicate with each other for your ultimate outcome and strategy. And that's about it. We'll be diving deeper as we go on with more sets that have their own archetypes and more ways to sequence. One word we're gonna have repeating in a lot of episodes from now on as we get more advanced. Sequencing is the bread and butter of all trading card games, not just Pokemon alone. And without it and a clear idea, you won't progress anywhere. Tournaments these days are more than 3,000 people, and only one can be the very best.